it's going to be InDesign and Photoshop is going to be in focus. I have a couple of real-world projects here. I want to pass these around. You might want to take a look at them, especially this cookbook for children. It was published right before Christmas. It's like Amazon self-publishing. A couple of other, well, it's the same book, but I mean, a couple of copies of another cookbook that was published a little bit earlier. And then I had this little, this is like a cruise handbook for a music cruise with lots of artists in. It should be color on the cover, but it ended up black and white. I'm going to explain that a little bit later. If you want, in this black and white thing, this letter size thing, here on the first content, inside matter, it's just a little QR code or there's a little link to the online version of this publication created at InDesign. You can scan it with your phone if you have a QR scanner, or you can type in that little URL just down here, like it's kind of thing. It's a lowercase L. It's not an uppercase I, it's a lowercase L. But you can scan this code for simplicity. Because I'm going to talk a little about that interactive publication later. So I'm just going to pass this around and look at it. Here is Tamsin Cochran is the author of those two food-related books in there, and they're available on Amazon, and it's self-publishing. That's actually what topic I think we're going to do a workshop on in the course center, is how to learn how to do self-publishing on Amazon. Because and I will supply the templates for InDesign that you can use to put your book together, and then I can also teach you how to get it out there. It's free, believe it or not. Well, it's free, and then they take a cut of every book you sell. So that's the way these books have been published, and you see it's right here. You can buy it. You can flip through some of the pages right here at Amazon, and of course, like with every print project in InDesign, there is technical requirements to get it out there and get it working. So it's there's stuff to learn, like everywhere. So that's the book, and this is the other one. That's just called Encouraging Children to Eat, and so it's all here for. If you want to take a closer look at these books, I think it's been really fun working with these projects. Yeah, InDesign. Yeah, and I have I don't have these. I'm not going to talk about these Encouraging Children to Eat books. I'm going to talk about the other book. So we're going to take a deep look at this, the InDesign files for this particular project. And also this other project, which is right here, which is, this is the online version and the color version of the black and white thing that is, you got to look at over there. And this is, if time permits, we're going to take a brief look at this. I'm not going to explain how I converted the print, all the details to converting the print version into an interactive version. But we can talk a little. I have the files prepared for you. You can take a look at the files and see what the differences are. The overall topic that I'm going to talk about is let me see here. I'm going to go back to InDesign. Is the interaction between InDesign and Photoshop, because all these publications are very photograph intensive. It's like hundreds of pictures in both of these publications, and since I've been doing this for quite a while, my background is from newspaper production, and I'm basically in Norway, actually, where I come from. But I've been living here for 3 years now, and setting up business and preparing. I'm doing design work and production work while I'm setting up the course center. So it's very exciting to work with these particular projects. So. I have extensive experience with photograph-intensive publications, and I want to talk about, especially this book here. It's going to be like the main case, like I said. I'm going to show you how the whole thing was set up in InDesign, and we can do this as a conversation. If you have comments or questions, please just throw it out there, and we will. I'm easily digressed, so I will probably run out of time at the end because I always love your questions, but that's perfectly fine. Now, I'm going to talk a lot about workflow, but the main thing here is that, and I'm going to show you that in a minute, the author gave me, she and her husband took a course in food photography, and they supplied like literally thousands of images for this book. And that's when a month ago when Kenneth was here and he was showing the action batch processing in Photoshop, it struck me that, yeah, let me talk about how you can put that to work together with InDesign, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So I have like a rough outline on my thoughts here, and I'm just going to start at one end and see where we end up. And please, yeah. Unfortunately, I don't. It's like this book is like 27 gigabytes. So I mean, it wouldn't really work. If you have InDesign running on your laptop, the only thing you really need to try some of the techniques we're going to talk about is to have a lot of JPEGs ready somewhere. I mean, just a bunch of JPEGs. That's the only real thing you need to do. Doesn't matter what the pictures are, what's in the pictures. But you will see when I get there. Okay, so this is the finished InDesign document. It's like in preview mode here. I had to borrow a laptop for this purpose, and I'm running the 7-day free trial version on this computer. And it's actually you have all the functions are here. The only thing you cannot turn off that dreaded start workspace if you know about it, if you want to get rid of it. And it's the only thing I could find here that you can't do. You can't get rid of it. So they're like forcing you to do that. But it's only accessible when you have no documents open, so I don't really care. So, yeah, the start workspace. So, but I'm not using it anyway. But I tried to turn it off under preferences, and it was grayed out. It's like forcing you to use it. Well, don't get me started talking about that workspace, because that will be a total digression. Anyway, here's the book, and part of the cover is made in Illustrator and is placed like a native AI file here on the top of the document here. So so this part that you can see I selected now will be linked to an Illustrator file, like over here. So, but the rest is just put in place here, right here in InDesign. So, that's how well these programs work together. You use the native AI file and the PSD files, directly place them into InDesign. So I just put the cover here just to, the cover is printed separately. So this is the start of the inside matter. So I just repeated some of the cover and added the copyright information, and there it is. And the whole spoon family. That's Tamsin's big thought, is to have the spoon family here. That helps. And there's lots of this book has its own web page and its own YouTube channel. So the little spoon boy, the guy over here, Theo, they all have names and everything. They're like talking throughout the book. And this guy Theo, he's doing instruction. How do you separate an egg and stuff like that? That's why we have back there's a couple of pages in the back, toward the back of a book where there's a lot of QR codes to get this video started. You can just search for it on YouTube. Anyway, so obviously we have a table of contents. It is generated automatically based on paragraph styles. So it's very easy here to update, and all the numbers and all the entries here, all the dishes here are listed. You don't have to maintain this automatically. You can just click inside the table of contents, and you go here and you say update table of contents, and then you can do edits afterwards, but when you update next time, those edits will be lost. So you want to try to, so if you see a typo here, you want to correct it where, in the chapter, not here in the because if you correct anything here, it will go away next time you update. All right. So I'm going to mention a couple of things as we go that are automated in here, like I just did with the table of contents. And if you want me to elaborate on any of those things, please just let me know. I'm ready to deviate from my little plan here. Yes.
Why are some uppercase, lowercase, and some are uppercase and the other one's lowercase?
Give an example.
Vanilla ice cream.
Vanilla ice cream. I think they were all supposed to be regular or title case, so that's a mistake. They were supposed to be. Or you mean like the C? Yeah, they should all be uppercase. So I'm sorry, it's a little mistake. One cool thing about self-publishing on Amazon is that it's a 100% print-on-demand system. So, and there's no inventory of books. So if I think I get embarrassed now because I see these mistakes that I didn't notice before, I can fix it tonight and upload a new PDF. And if you order the book tomorrow, you will get the updated version. So it's like incredible. It's literally print on demand. And how they do it, I mean, make money out of it. I don't even know. I know, but if people order like one book a month or something, I don't know how this book is selling. It's how can you print one book? You see the book here; it looks really professional, right? How can you print one book and make money out of it? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
How you want to do it?
Oh, there were two questions at the same time. You first.
So you'll probably want to do it with the other. Now that you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Rules.
Yeah, it's inconsistent. Let's agree on that. So, and Carol.
I was just wondering what the price was. It was $12.95.
It's $25. Yeah, for the book.
Oh, $25.
Yeah, $24.99. But that in my years, that's $25.
$12.95 sounds pretty good.
Yeah, exactly.
I just wonder where a breaking point might be. Like if you just sold 100 of them, then maybe you should go to offset. I suppose you have to price them.
It's I think they do, unless you, this is what I want to put together a course actually about this, because it's a lot of details, and I've been reading up, because Tamsin don't want to do the publishing, doesn't want to do the publishing, so I had to learn all that stuff. Now, for you and me and everyday people, we can just go in there and start publishing, and there's no cost at all until you start selling books. But you can enter into a different deal with them. And if you get accepted, you will even get an advance payment for like 1,500 books or something, and the split will be different from I think they take like 40% or 50% or something. So I mean, they take a lot of that sales price, but there's no initial cost for you and anybody. You can, as long as you comply with the technical specification and upload a PDF that's compliant, your book is out there, and you can start marketing it and start selling it. Yes.
Just out of curiosity, what's the turnaround time to receive the in-copy?
I mean, if you order one,
Yeah.
You can get it in 2 days if you're willing to pay for it. And I would like to visit that print shop and see how they do it. But I don't even know where it's at. It could be. But I'm very, very patient when I shop at Amazon. I don't want to pay extra, so I do the free shipping, and it takes a week. So I'm happy with that. But that can possibly have anything to do with the print time. It's just I'm not willing to pay extra for it, right? So another thing I decided to do, and in the research period for this book, I spent a half a day down at Book People, down on Fifth Street. They have, believe it or not, they have a section for children's cookbooks. And I was sitting there and reading, or flipping through a lot of those books, because I want to see what is out there. We're going to compete in that market, right? So one of the little things I decided, because I would like that as a kid, I added a separate little table of contents for each little chapter. Because when you start, there's a little introduction, and then you have, it's like repeating the main table of contents, but I think it's user-friendly from a reader's perspective, And this is automatic too, so if I click inside this one, you can have as many table of contents in an InDesign document as you want. And that's why you need to just click inside it before you go up here and update it, because otherwise InDesign will not know which table of content you want to update. So you just need to click inside with And you may have noticed or may not have noticed, when I use the black arrow here, the selection tool, I just double click to enter into, to switch to the type tool. It's the quickest way to switch to the type tool. And I'm back in here, and I just press the escape key to go back out to the black arrow again. So I hardly ever use the tools panel anymore, because you can switch tools with the keyboard, which is faster.
What did it look like when you went to title?
Excuse me?
What did it look like when you double clicked and went to the title?
If I double click here, just double click, you see it switches to the type tool.
Oh, to the other cursor.
Yeah. So it even switches tools over here in the tools panel. And the insertion point will be positioned where you double click. So it's super user friendly. And then if I want to deselect here, the quickest way is just to press the escape key, and then the text frame will be selected as opposed to the text inside the frame. All right, so we created these little symbols here for try to use icons here to have children, because we're going to have them start here out doing lots of hot stuff and, you know, burn their fingers and learn it the hard way. Yeah, here's the whole family. So of course the spoon dog is a little weird. Got his weird little name. I know. And the few comments that the dog makes throughout the book is like the author's alter ego, because if you read that name backwards, you'll know who that is. We added this. We had a long. I've been like volunteering as an editor as well, because I love cookbooks and I love cooking, and I couldn't keep my mouth shut. So this took forever too. And I said, I said, it doesn't matter. And she's from England, so I was saying, and she might listen in on this recording later, so I should be careful what I say. But anyway, so it was a little inconsistent. Like, did she use like European like metric, or did she use like American cups and stuff? You know? And I said, okay, just pick one. And also her first version of her book. And I didn't make this book. This Encouraging Children to Eat was created before, like in Microsoft Word. Is that on my comments what I wanted to change, if I was allowed to change it, and I did. It is not even consistent when it comes to spelling. You know, so it's a little bit American, a little bit British English, and I said, please, Tamsin, make up your mind. Just pick one. I don't care. Pick one, and let's stick with it. You know. So, and then we had a big discussion. Can you? How about weight, volume, and flour, liquids? You know, we had a big. Well, I shouldn't say fight. Interesting discussion about that. But we ended up doing this. So we always add metrics. Whatever. So we want it to be useful for everybody. And poor children, they will have to, figure it out somehow. So there's a lot of introduction here in the book, and especially this page. I said it's like photograph intensive, and we wanted to use photographs everywhere. And I learned a lot. My English is like medium good or something, I know, but I couldn't write all these captions because I don't know what everything is.
You said you use photographs. Is it photographs that you guys took yourself?
Yeah, the author and her husband taking all the pictures. Yeah, I'm going to show you what it looks like when they delivered it to me. So I'm just going to flip through here real quick. This is the ABCs of cooking. Of course, I bought a lot of pictures. A lot of pictures I purchased from Adobe stock and stuff. This is difficulty levels in here. And by the way, this is one Illustrator file with 5 different faces. And you can do that in InDesign. And that's another way of making life easier for myself. I could just go in here and select Object Layer option. I can turn on and off layers inside the Illustrator file for this instant of that. So these are all 5 linked images linked to the same external Illustrator file. And I can go in here and change the number, So, I can say, oh, yeah, this dish is going to be 5, hats or something. So you can do that here in the object layer option thing inside of InDesign, it works with the Illustrator files, top level, only the top level layers in an InDesign file, Illustrator file. It also works with layers and layer comps in Photoshop, which is wonderful. And you can place an InDesign file inside another InDesign file, and you can still turn on and off the top level layers in an InDesign file as well. And if that's not enough, PDFs can have layers, even though they normally don't. But you can, from InDesign, for instance, you can export, and you have to check that little thing, and the PDF will be layered. And when you place a PDF file in here, you can turn on and off the layers for that file as well. So here's another couple of we didn't end up with as many videos as we wanted, so we were planning to scatter these little QR codes all around the cookbook, but we ended up just putting them on the same page at the back of the book. So here we go. Lots of pictures, lots of comments from the Spoon family. And these are really cool animations out there on YouTube when you see the eyes rolling and this weird voice of when Theo is talking and stuff like that. We had an interesting discussion about oatmeal.
Oh, yeah.
And I actually added here, like I said, I cannot contain myself, so I added a couple of tips here because this is. Unfortunately, by the 5th time she proofread it, she decided to cut out my additions. But you see, it's using milk instead of water and no salt. And I was thinking, hey, I just added a little comment up here. And she ended up, we don't want the kids to eat too much salt, so we're going to remove that. And I'm from England. You should use milk with your oatmeal, no water. So, all right, you're the boss. All right, but it was incredibly fun. But you can understand this took a lot of time, and the images here. The idea of laying out the book like this is like it's almost like an animation, static animation. It's like step by step. And some of them we try to make it so you can get the process here without too many captions. So I don't know if it's working, but that's the idea. And of course, these guys spent a lot of time taking all the pictures, and I spent equally long time trying to make some sense out of it here. And I did add, when it's like big projects like this, I did add captions, because I think it makes sense. When you got this thing going, and maybe you read the recipe once, and when you're going to start doing it, this is the only thing you need to look at, because you don't need that extra information. You just see it and do it, hopefully.
How did you add those captions? Because I know there's a caption feature in
Yeah, I'm going to show you that later. These are added manually. The ones on the utensils page, I use the caption function. Yeah, I'm going to show you that in a minute. I should get going here. I'm not going to comment on every page. Question?
So one Illustrator file with 5 different faces.
Yeah.
Is it possible to see? Were you just trying to explain that there was one file that has 5 different layers?
Yeah, it's layers. Yeah,
Okay.
just using layers.
Mhm.
And I just created one layer for each extra face with colors, not the outline. So there's 5 outlines at the bottom, and then you have the other ones on top of that.
Oh, okay.
And I even created here, because this is considered inline graphics. So if I turn on, let me see, if I select this and turn on the visibility of frame edges, you will see that there's a little anchor here. So it's anchored to the text. It's considered inline graphics. So I put it in there, I paste it in there. But if I move this around, you will see that it flows with the text. And in order to control the space above and below the graphics that is in line here, I created a separate paragraph style. I just call it difficulty rating, in lack of a better name. But that's like it only does like the space before and the space after. But it's a special paragraph style designed just to hold that graphics. And the cool thing is, by creating a paragraph style for stuff like that, is that you might discover when you worked on this for a few hours that, hey, I want to shrink it a little bit, I want to add a little bit, and all you have to do is edit the style, and you will be adding or subtracting space before and after throughout the book instead of doing it manually on the individual pages. So what I'm trying to make, like the red thread here, is automation and workflow, which saves you trouble, saves you work, right? So how about the chapter titles over here? You see it's blue. It's you got the page number. It says Munchies. If I keep traveling here through the document and I get to the hot grub, you see it's a different color, and then it switches automatically here. Now the deal is that these are automatic, like real. So if I go in here and change the name of the title, it doesn't update here, but it will in a second. And it's a cool thing, and I think Adobe engineers have spent a lot of time thinking about this, because you might think that if this is a variable, it should update like as you're typing. But they decided no, because think about all the processes that are running in the background and wasting clock ticks on your computer and stuff. So they said you have to just update the view. So if I zoom in here, or anything that forces the screen to update, that's when we are supposed to see that it actually changes here. So now it says hot stuff, just because I updated the view. And another way of updating the view, quick and dirty, is to just switch, go to a next page and back, for instance, or zoom in or out. Or you can even do a screen refresh, like a Control Alt 0, So anything that forces it. So I can go back here now, and you will see that it does not update while I'm typing. But if I just go in here and do anything in terms of zooming or forcing a redraw, you see it's updated, and then it will go on using that chapter name throughout that chapter until we get to the next chapter, and then it will update automatically. So this code in here is just it's called a text variable, and you can define as many of them as you want in InDesign. And then I'm using them on master pages. So are you familiar with master pages at all, or somebody who's not familiar with them? Because it's one of the most time-saving things, in addition to paragraph styles. And if I may show you here at the top of the Pages panel, you will see that I ended up, with a little bit bigger book, I will probably split each chapter in a separate file and use the book function to tie them together. It turned out here some of these chapters are really, really short, like 5-6 pages or something like that, and so I decided to keep it all in one file. So I could elaborate on that. Does it pay off to split it up, and what will become easier and what will become more complicated? But I'm not going to spend too much time on that. But you see, I created a master page for each regular chapter page for each of the 8 chapters in the book. So, and you can see here they just look like this is the green one, and this is a text variable, chapter name only. Means I have another variable that includes the chapter number. But text variables are over here on the type menu, and it's like over here, text variables. InDesign ships with quite a few of them, actually. So you will see this list. It's grayed out now because I'm not inside a text frame. You have to, if you want to use them, you have to be inside the text frame. So this is the chapter, and these guys I created, but some of the other guys here are shipped with like a file name and the modification date and stuff like that are text variables you can use and insert anywhere without having to create them. But going in here and defining a text variable is really, really simple. This is chapter name only. I can go in here and take a look at it. It just says this is going to be a running header based on a character style, and the character style is called, which character style do you want to use? I want to do this thing. It is called chapter name only, and so, and it will just find that text on the page and put it into the variable. You can define a lot of different kinds of text variables, we could do an all evening just talking about their text variables, but I just want to point. Yeah, I can do that. I mean, does anybody want to listen to it? I don't know. But it's really, really cool. And it looks like on the master page, it just looks like this. And of course, it's the same variable on every because I just decided to create like because I needed those. I needed a way to change those colors easily for the whole chapter. So that's why I did it this way. But you see, the variable is the same. And there you go. So, all right, let's go back to the document here. So, yeah. Let me see. Yeah, let me see here.
What's the age range? Age range for the kids?
Oh, it's 4 to 11. It's on the back.
Oh,
I don't know. 4 to 11.
So if you change the hot grow to hot stuff, then all the pages that have that chapter type name only will turn into.
See here. So until InDesign encounters a new, and listen, it's based on character and paragraph styles. So, and for reasons I don't want to talk too much about because it's going to be technical, I will normally use a paragraph style. But in this case, just to get to, this style is kind of interesting because it's a paragraph style that also uses a character style. Yeah, it's nested style. It switches after the number 4. It switches to white, and it applies the name only character style automatically. And it's here inside the it's inside this this style called heading 1. Should open up. And you can go in here and look at the nested style, and you see the nested style is programmed here to use no character style through 2 words, keeping it simple. I could be through 1 digit or something like that. But it says here it will going to apply nothing for the first 2 words, and then it's going to apply this chapter name only through the next 5 words. I did that because it covers everything. Now, so that makes the color change. After chapter 4, it switches to white, and then so that's kind of interesting. Now, but I can also grab this little thing because I didn't want the chapter and the number included in a variable, so I can even say look for the use of this character style, and that's how I can grab just that part of the sentence. So if I go in here and I change this to stuff, for instance, you will see that it already updates here because I zoomed out. And if I go to the next page, I will get hot stuff all until InDesign encounters another instance of that character style, which is up here. And that's when it changes here. So it's the same variable. You don't, if you had to create like 8 different variables, you might as well type it in, more or less. But the cool thing is that now I can change this altogether. I can even change the order of the chapters by dragging them in the Pages panel, and it will always be the page numbers will update, and the these guys will always be correct.
You could have put cold shell before hot grow, and it would have been an easy thing.
Yeah, it will stay consistent. So of course if you mess it up, which you can, like not moving the complete chapter, it will look weird, but you're not supposed to do that. So, all right, I think I want to. Let me check my little list here because I think we're. Yeah, we talk about styles. Yeah, so I think we've covered most of those automated features. Let me just go back here real quick to the end of the book, and here we have these QR codes, and I just grabbed them. InDesign is using low resolution preview, so it goes faster. If I want to display one single object at full resolution, I can go here and switch for the individual object, and it will redraw based on the contents of the graphics and do it correctly like this. If I select the same command on the view menu, I will change the quality, the display quality throughout the document for all the graphics in the document. But anyway, so this code is created using the the QR code function in InDesign. So so I just copied the URLs from YouTube and pasted it in here, you know, because now I have selected a QR code. So the command says edit QR code. If I've not a QR code selected, it will say insert QR code or create QR code. Let me see. I think it's create. Yeah, it's generate QR code. So, but if I select an existing one, and of course I checked all these with the phone, I think they are reasonably correct. But if I made a mistake, I can go in here and just paste in the URL. I can say this. You can do plain text, text message, email, business card, whatever. So you just do here, and you click OK, and there you go. You know. So, and you can add a color background to it if you want. So that's cool. That's InDesign. And yeah, we add a little glossary and of course a little dictionary here because that's what the lady wanted. And did you know that 1 pint is not a pint? And that coriander is cilantro?
Didn't know that.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Well, anyway, this is the book. This is the, and we basically wanted to have those little QR codes like everywhere, but this little symbol just means that if you want to see what whisking means, you know, there's a video, but you have to go here, and then you can, you know, find the one here and just scan it or whatever. Okay.
What was the object display?
Yeah,
menu that
yeah, it's called you can it's on the object menu, so you can do the object layer options. But normally when I work, I use the right click all the time. But when I teach or do a presentation, it's nice to show what menu the commands you know, live on, where they belong. So
one that was to give low resolution to all the features.
oh no, that's a different one. If it's on the view menu, it's this one, display performance.
Oh, okay.
And you can change, there's fast display, which is very useful with books like this because you can basically turn off. Let's say you want to even print a copy just to proofread it. You know, you don't want to waste ink or anything like that. You can just turn it off like that. That's so-called fast display. But you know, the normal display is like, or typical is like medium, low resolution. There are settings under preferences in InDesign. You can decide on how detailed these 3 different settings are going to be. But that's going to be extremely detailed but it's right here under preferences. So you can go in there and change it if you want. But if you go in here and turn on display performance, high quality display on the view menu, you might notice a delay in the redrawing of every page if you have a lot of pictures. Now, on the same note, you do have these preview options up here. You can switch to preview, which is like a print preview. It hides all the frame edges and guides and the pasteboard and stuff like that. Or you can go to normal, which will display all those non-printing objects and even the bleed parts of objects, you know, that extend on the pasteboard. Now, the coolest thing, and I use this a lot when I'm interacting with my clients and my students as well, I can go in here and just switch to presentation mode, which is a full screen preview of your InDesign document, which is wonderful. You can easily hide all the interface if you want, but this is super. And when you use the presentation mode, it always turns on full resolution display automatically. And you can use the arrow keys to flip through the book. But you will notice when you have like 50 pictures on a page, it might take a little while for it to put it up on the screen because, yeah, as you know, it's a lot of pixels to pump up onto the screen. Now, I'm going to end here on page 8 and 9. This is the page utensils page. And let me... so here's the, it's like a simulation. It's like an early stage of the production of that very same page, right? And how many pictures are there? It's I'm doing, by the way, keyboard shortcuts to switch between open documents. It's in Windows, it's Control Tab and Control Shift Tab to switch through all the. You see all the tabs, open documents I have up there. Using the mouse for stuff like that is sometimes okay, but it's usually faster to use the keyboard. And you can do the same thing on the Mac, but it's you have to use that key with the little yeah, the little one. Yeah, no, it is. I think it's Command, and then you have to not. You cannot use the Tab key, but you use the Command and the key with the little tilde or whatever right on top, right above the Tab key, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, so we're going to put some pictures in here. So let me tell you how Tamsin handed over the pictures. So I'm using Bridge here. If you're not familiar with Bridge, I will highly recommend you take a look at it. We have, so I'm using Bridge instead of Windows Explorer. I use Explorer a lot as well. And I use Bridge instead of Finder on the Mac. I use Macs and PCs. I'm like literate in both. But Bridge is the same on both platforms. That's one reason I'm using it. Another reason is like if I look in here, let me see where I was. Where was I? Here. This is the main reason I'm using Bridge, because this is an InDesign file, right? And I can see a preview of the InDesign file. And there's a preferences setting. You can increase the resolution of that preview, and I recommend you do that. And I can even flip through. Yeah, this little preview is by default is very, very small.
Okay.
So I can show you later if time permits, but it's like under preferences. It's called file handling, and you can just increase it. And you can even increase the number of pages you want to be able to flip through here without having to open up each and every InDesign file in InDesign. And I love that because I always end up having lots of different versions of my files. So I like to be able to flip through them here. Ideally, I would say I will want to flip through all pages in a document, but in this case, because it's only one file, it is a notable delay every time you save the file, because it regenerates all the previews for every page, even if there are no changes on those pages, unfortunately. So full resolution, I mean the highest resolution setting, and hey, come on, let me show you. I'm talking too much about that. It's under preferences, and it's down here under file handling. And it says here, always save preview images with documents. And my option here, based on my experience, is first 10 pages is enough for me to find the version I'm looking for. You can switch to all pages. If you don't mind, it might be a little delay when you hit Command S or Control S. It will be like a little, you can take a sip of coffee or something while it's saving your document. You will be able to flip through all the pages in your document, which is wonderful. I wish it only regenerated the thumbnails of pages that had changes to them. In that case, it will go much faster. But but the most important thing is this, because this is the default 256 by 256 pixels. So I switched to extra large, and it takes effect as soon as you start saving a document. So it doesn't really affect existing documents, but if you open up a file and save it, you will get this big preview. The only place you can see the preview is in Bridge. So not even when you do a file open, but you can see it here in Bridge. All right.
That's a good tip, Tom. I only ever use Bridge for photos. I never
Yeah.
about
Yeah, and also Illustrator files, and Illustrator files with several artboards. You can flip through.
Always a mess.
Yeah, you can flip through the artboards and see them all here. You don't even have to change the setting to accomplish that.
Are you saying that you have multiple, like, finished versions that you want to flip through? Is that what you're doing?
I always end up with several different versions. You see this folder called X-Old? As an older version. I just put them down there because I try out different solutions, and I never throw anything away.
That's my motto.
Yeah. And you don't want to take a look in my garage because I'm the same way with physical stuff. You have a question?
So I've never gotten in the habit of using Bridge.
Yeah.
But I kind of wanted to. I just never take the time to start doing it.
Yeah. Let me say a few words about Bridge. First of all, it's free. It's included. I actually, this is not a paying license. It's the first time I've done this in a long, long time, just during the 7 days. It used to be 30 days. Now it's only 7 days. And I was very surprised before I even signed up for anything here. I could download and install Bridge without So that is actually free. I mean, literally free. You can if the only thing you want is Bridge, which of course it isn't. But all you have to do, no matter what kind of license you have, you can go down here and just, it will say install, and you install it. So there it is. And another thing, if you're not sure if you have it or not, all you have to do in InDesign, Illustrator, or Photoshop, they all have a command here. It says browse in Bridge, file browse in Bridge. And one of two things will happen. If it's installed on your system, it will open up. If it's not installed, it will open up the Creative Cloud app so you can, install it. And it's just, it's very important to understand that Bridge is like a shell on top of the operating system. It works in addition to the Finder and the Explorer. And it sits on top of it. It's a direct interaction. It's not, because it looks like a database, and you can do database-like things in here, like adding keywords to images and stuff like that. But those keywords are not stored in the database. They're stored inside each separate file, which is wonderful. Because if you later add those pictures to a database, it will be, it will actually acknowledge and use those keywords. So,
I have a question.
yes.
Those keywords that you can assign to files, like in photos and things, are those just searchable within your own system, or can, say, if you put those online, is Google able to see those?
I haven't tried.
I
I know that if you put your pictures on Facebook, all the metadata are stripped off.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so you can't use
Copyright.
even copyright. Yeah, which is crazy. But when you sign up for Facebook, you give them right to use your pictures, right? For everything. But anyway, so Bridge is just sitting on top of the operating system. People ask me when if they're curious about Bridge and say, how do I get my files into Bridge? Which is a relevant question, but it's not something you do. You just open up your folders using Bridge instead of what are you usually using, and all the files are there. If I create a new folder in here, I can right-click and create a new folder. It will be a new folder in the operating system as well. It's like a shell, literally a shell sitting on top of, in this case, Windows Explorer, and it will sit on top of the Mac OS Finder. And one thing is, well, you have the preview here of native Adobe files, but you can even increase the size of the thumbnails, which is a function I love, use a lot. And I'm getting closer now to, so you basically have a lot of panels. And up here in the top left, you can switch between your favorites, which I usually on my workstation, I have a collection of folders, like you got the images, your pictures are here, but you could just drag a folder. If I'm going to use this one a lot, I can just drag it over here, and it will be like and I can access this folder like just clicking over here, right? But as soon as I get to the file, and this could be, it supports Dropbox and Creative Cloud files, and if you have Dropbox, it will just show up here, just like this is a desktop. But anyway, and even what's it called, the Microsoft one, the OneDrive, yeah. So they will, and of course the servers and file servers on your network. If you're at work, a work environment, and you have like a shared folder, you can just navigate to that folder, and you can just create a shortcut, So, but as soon as I get to the folder, I like to switch to this kind of drill down hierarchical kind of way of navigating through folders. I think this is super quick. You have similar stuff in both Finder and Windows Explorer, but since you have everything here, I don't see any need for that. Now, this is actually a copy of Tom and Tamsin's shared Dropbox folder over here. Yeah, I'm not even sure if you can see it. It's a little small. But anyway, here's the next book. Or I probably shouldn't say. It's going to be A to Z books of. It's going to be an A to Z of cooking. I don't know. I haven't got the contents yet. We have encouraging children to eat here. Here's the cool kids do cook, and you see she's creating a folder for each chapter, subfolder for like here's the utensils photos that I got, and you can see down here is 80. Well, you can't really see it, but it says here 80 items. Like 80 pictures to use on that page alone. And white sauce, because it's used in several dishes, we wanted to have that at the beginning, so we could just make a reference. And of course, it's like 9 items here. And you see breakfast over here. I got pancakes, 64 JPEGs, bacon sandwich, just a few, English pancakes, fried eggs. You see, and it is cool for somebody. I've been working on a news desk in a newspaper, and usually the problem is you have a lack of illustrations, right, or too few pictures. So it's cool to have a lot, but sometimes it gets a little bit too much. But so how do I do it? That's another thing I'm using Bridge for. You see that some of these pictures have a red label. You can just press the space bar in Bridge and you get a full screen preview. So I'm doing this really, really quick. You can label images here. It's on the label menu in Bridge. You got the stars, 1 to 5 stars, and you have the labels down here that should have color names, but they have like different names. I use the colors just for whatever I need to use the label at the moment. I don't care what they really mean, because these are the red ones that I want to use, So what I'm doing, I'm going into full screen mode. Bridge has a slideshow function if you really want to, like a nice slideshow of pictures that zoom in and out, and you start from the top. You can do that, but the space bar is just quick and easy, full screen. You can click to make sure you get into 100% if the picture is too big. And this is the way I do it. I usually have a touch screen. I don't have that here. I had to turn it off. But anyway, I see here. And if I want, I want to use this one. I just press 6 on my keyboard. And you see I added a red label to it down over there. And using my keyboard, I can flip through here really, really quick. I'm going to remove that again. I'm flipping through with my arrow keys, and I see this one is already red. So this is the one I chose because it was sharper than the other ones, right? So I was just going through here real quick, which I'm going to use and which I'm going to not use. So I just, I need one of these, and I can choose 1 or 2, and decide later which one to use. But and here you go. So I just go here, and you can use when you're in full screen mode, you use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a star thing, if you want to subjectively rate your images. And you can do 6 through 0. Well, 0 will remove the label, but 6, 7, 8, and 9 will add those color labels to them. So if I do 8, it will be green, and 7 yellow, and 6 will be red. So that's the way I do it. So I end up with my selection. And of course, I do this for every folder that I'm going to use, right? And it takes a little time, but in this case, I rather include a little bit too many and too few, to make sure I got covered everything. And I didn't really know for American Pancakes how many did I really want and how detailed should we do the little step-by-step thing, So I just tried to fit everything in there. Now, so how do you do it over here? I'm going to use my utensil photos, and I'm going to spread them out over here. I'm going to use 2 or 3 functions here at a time. And I'm not going to bother with the order of the pictures at this point. But I want to select all the red ones. I have a filter menu over here in Bridge. The filter menu. You see, I have 26 that are labeled red. Those are the ones I want to use. So I click the red filter over here. And then I have only those in here. If I go in here and do a Control or Command A, select all, I have them all selected. Now I want to put them on my page, right? So I right-click.
How did you do you select all to put it in the...
Control A or Command A.
Put it in the preview?
The preview can only preview 9.
Okay.
So it will preview the 9 first. So I'm not doing this for the sake of the preview because it only can preview 9 pictures over here. But I have all these selected now. And it will say here, 26 items, 54 hidden, 26 selected, so and so many megabytes and stuff. I got all my JPEGs here. These are the ones I want to use, right? And if I did my labeling correct, I only have one of each utensil, right? Or I can correct that later. And then I want to place them in InDesign. I can actually drag them into InDesign, but I can also right-click and select the Place submenu in Bridge. And I can place them all in one go. So I'm placing in InDesign. And you can see it's loading up. Can you see the number increasing here? Loading up with all of them. So I have, should be 26. There you go. And I can, when you have a multi, this is called multi-place. You know, you can place several images at one time. And you can click or drag or click into an existing placeholder frame. There's the 3 ways you can place them, you know, when you have a loaded place gun. They call it a loaded place gun. So you have to be careful what you shoot, what you aim at with a loaded place gun, right? Because if I can actually replace this image if I wanted to, just by alt-clicking on it or something. But I can place them in turn. If I don't want to place the this thing first, the what is it? Sifter? No, I don't know. If I don't want to, I can use the arrow keys and flip through all the pictures that are loaded. And by the way, one super user tip here is that if I now wanted to add more pictures to my loaded place gun, I could go with the loaded place gun. I can go and do File, Place, and go to a different folder. And you can collect, you know, not that it's too useful, but that is possible. Now, I don't want to do that. I want to start here. Huh?
Can you subtract?
Yeah. If you want to throw one out, just make sure it's displayed and press Escape, and you will throw that one out. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be all images. All the places you can import into InDesign, like text files, video files, you can select them all at one time and put them in here. It's not like super useful, I guess, but because, well, I work with text first and then I work with the images. Anyway, I'm going to start dragging here. This is multi-place. I'm going to place all 26 in one go. I just start dragging. And I'm keeping the mouse button depressed. So I'm using the up and right arrow keys on my keyboard. I'm splitting that frame into columns, you know. I'm going to make 6...
Wait. How do you do that?
6 columns. And the arrow keys. So I'm going to go like this. And I'm making a grid of so-and-so many on each page. And I didn't get all of them, but I should have done the math. I have 2 more over here. But you see, I placed all of them in one go. This is called, and just to be extra lazy, I was aiming now to make these 3 first columns fit with, you know, with the, inside the margins on that tab page. I will have to move these guys over, but they will have the same distance between them. It's called Gridify. It's called Gridify. Yeah, that's what Adobe calls it. It works with the place gun. It works with the type tool if you want to create text frames. It works with most of the drawing tools, like the rectangle tool, the polygon tool, and the ellipse tools. If you want to, just to show you what I'm talking about here, I know I have 2 pictures too many here, but if I do the rectangle tool over here, I can use the arrow keys here and I can draw like all those rectangles in one go. It's called Gridify. And even with the type tool, and you might be surprised, but you can do this. And when you create text frames, it actually links them together automatically. It's a little digression. It's a super cool feature. It could be a total time saver. So in this case, I try to select these guys that should go here on the other side, and I put them over here. You can see that it uses the fitting, and I have to send these to the back. I have to rearrange it a little bit. You know, this is a little quick and dirty, or quick and easy, I should say. But anyway, you see it uses the fitting method, which is called fit content proportionally. So it leaves little space inside the frames. Because you can see the whole picture. So I can select all of these, and they were all selected before I started out on this thing. But I can select them like this, and I can do the fitting here and switch to the fill frame proportional, which is a better starting point. You know, it will increase the size of each picture inside the frame to fill it, and it will put it in the middle. All right.
Yeah, could you show that again? Object fitting?
Oh, it's object fitting. It's you know, an image object in InDesign consists of the frame, which is the container, and the contents, which is the image inside the frame. And you have to control that. You can do it manually, or you can use this fitting commands here on the object menu. And this one, fit content to frame, is so dangerous to use. It shouldn't be here. It will always distort your image, and you don't want that. But all the other ones, these two at the top, contain the word proportionally. That's the ones you want to use. All right. So this is where I actually wanted to use the, I don't remember how this page ended up. Let me take a look at the, sorry, I'm going the wrong way here. Yeah, it was 4 by 4 is what I did. Oh, I did I do 3 by 4 now? Yeah, okay. I should do 4 by 4. It doesn't matter. The principle is the same. You see, these are unedited. And that is the whole point, you know, that I don't want to start here. I cannot start here. And I haven't even decided which one to use yet. And before I even made my selection, should I go in here and enhance all of these pictures? I can't do that. I don't want to do that. It's a total waste of time, right? So I'm using the unedited JPEGs in my layout until I'm 100% sure which ones I'm going to use. Now, I'm not gonna try to replicate the layout exactly the way I did it, but I'm gonna add a little space here, just so I get a little space between each row. You can group them and have this happen automatically as well. By the way, the gridify command, if you manage when you're using the gridify command, even if you use the place object or the drawing tools, if you use the Alt key and the arrow keys, you will alter the gaps between the objects, you know, while you're creating that grid. So there is no. You need to. Well, you can do whatever tool you're using. Just yeah. No. Just try. What you do. Let's say you use a drawing tool while holding the mouse button depressed. Use the other hand on the arrow keys. That's the only way to do it. I'm just splitting it up. Well, but try to, you know, you start drawing something, whatever it is, and then you use the left and the down arrow keys to remove rows, and you just have to keep the mouse button depressed until you're done.
My equal square's the same size.
Oh, it's just using a trackpad.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, that is, I cannot use the trackpad. So the deal is you have to, you need 3 hands.
I know.
Yeah, because you need to press down, and then you need to, you know, press down and drag. If you can do that. I can try to do it. Oh yeah, I'm doing it now a little bit, and then I can use the other hand. But now I can't get any longer because I'm at the end of the trackpad. I can't drag any longer. So that's where I, you know. So well, there we go. Okay. So what's the deal? And I need to get going with my program here.
A scrolling mouse, you might be able to run the scroll wheel to go farther, even if you run out of.
Yeah.
But a trackpad, yeah.
Yeah, except, yeah, I know, you might try to do that. Okay, so this is the way I was working. You know, I put all the images in here, and when we can see later here that some of the procedures I got, because it was a little mess. Some of the procedures were from a different recipe, and I didn't even notice, so she told me to throw up a few pictures here and add something there and stuff, you know, but it's cool. And I was thinking, you know, should I these look terrible. They're underexposed, and they're like totally wrong color. But you know I can fix it later, right? So how about captions? Well, what I did in the beginning was to add captions in Bridge. And if you see here, you have a metadata panel over here in Bridge. And we've got access to all the metadata, and all the ones I have a little pencil to the side of here. I can go over here and add measuring cups to this picture. So it's like description is measuring cups, right? Or I can go, so I was thinking, should I do it this way? Rolling pen, right? It says it right here. And I can just click there. You can edit the metadata right here in Bridge, which is awesome. If I didn't want to do it unless I could do it this way. And then I didn't have everything, you know. I think I had this one, a couple of here. I entered description here like a default when I didn't have the name, right? Okay, so if you want to use that metadata and add it as a caption in InDesign, you have two options basically. And it's right here. It's under type. Where is it? Is it object? It's object caption. So you have a caption setup because you go in there and you decide what do you want. I want to use a description metadata field, right? I can add text before and after. I can add more. What paragraph style do I want to apply? I want to apply the caption paragraph style. The distance from the image, you know, over here. So you do that once and for all. And then you just select your images, and then you go in here, and then you have two options. It's, do you want to create a live caption or a static caption? Now, I'm going to generate live captions now because it will actually add. And in this, I was very lucky. I almost only got description here, but you know, the deal is that now these I got the C even the greater at least. So there you go. These are live captions. So if I at any point go out here and edit the metadata, the caption will update, which could be cool. But if I want to edit it, I'm in trouble because I can't. I can't go in here and you see if I try to select it, it's like, well, I have to delete everything and replace it with something else. It's an automatic text variable actually that gets created for you. So what you can do, just going to add a little space here. Let me just delete one of these guys, these rows here, and add a little space here because if you, and that's how I ended up creating static. So I did here object. Where is it? Why can't I find it? Here, captions. Generate static captions. It will just do it like once. It will not be linked to the file as such anymore. So we won't. But now I can. Now it's just like text. So I can go in here and edit and correct mistakes and whatever, and remove the periods that shouldn't be there and stuff like that. So that was my solution because I was basically saving time by adding all the placeholder frames for the caption more than the automatic thing, right? I didn't want to create like 26 text frames and distribute them manually. So my win here was these text frames, all consistently spaced from the picture and down, and it was basically perfect. So and they have to overlap. I mean, if you want overlapping, I mean, if you want automatic captions, the text frame needs to overlap the image because if it doesn't, you will get this message: no intersecting link. But if there is an intersecting link, it will look inside the metadata of that object. I can only say that this automatic feature has like super potential, right? You can work on this for like forever. Now, my plan was to add more. I don't think I really have to do that, but you know these pages, these procedures like this. I could go to what is this? Fried eggs. I can go over here, and I want to use these guys, and I can place them. In this case, I will do place and InDesign. Oh yeah, I need to be in the correct document, or else it won't work. And you should not have anything selected in InDesign before you switch over to Bridge. In this case, I can do, it's 6 of them. I want to go just, create like this. Was a little quick. But I got them right here, and if I'm lucky, I got them in the right order. I can reorder them.
If you didn't want to have anything selected in InDesign before you go to Bridge,
yeah.
If you already have something in the middle of multi-placing, isn't that already a selection?
If I understand the question correctly, no, because the deal is that if I select this frame. And I go over here and I place something, and I think it's this one, the finished one. It's going to go up there. And if I only place one image, it will go directly into that frame, like it just did. Now, but if you multi-place, it will only be able to place one image and the rest, so it doesn't place anything. You will still get the loaded cursor, but you should always be very conscious about whether you should have something selected or not. In this case, you should not. Okay, so these are the unedited pictures, and I need to, I don't want to run out of time before I show you the whole picture here, because now is the clue. Let's say you have, I think it's like 300 photographs in this book, you know, and you may not be completely done, but you know, it's, I'm ready to, I want to start. I know I'm like half done at least. I have several pages now that the layout is finished. I know exactly what pictures to use. I want to start editing them. So does anybody know how you can do that? Because it is linked like to, it's like JPEGs now. Remember, if I select this one and take a look in the links panel, you see that the file name is here. It says JPEG. And you get all this information about the JPEG, where it's located and everything. Now,
What are you wanting to do?
I want to edit it in Photoshop.
Yeah, right click and go edit with.
Exactly. Because if you go here, that's the correct answer. Because if you do the edit original, or you can even double click it, alt double click to edit it, InDesign will ask the operating system, what program do you open JPEGs with? And it will open it up in preview, and you can't edit it. So you have two options. You can either change that setting on your operating system. I can show you how to do that if you want. But the answer is correct, because you can go in here and say, no, I want to, oh, it doesn't even list. It doesn't list Photoshop now, but I can select it from this list, I'm sure, if I want to do it. But yeah, I should actually do that. Why doesn't it list Photoshop? Somebody in Adobe needs to look into this. That would be the most natural thing to have on that list, wouldn't it? But the deal is,
I think once you choose it once, it'll be on the list.
I'm sure it will. So let me do that. Let me do edit with other here. Where should I go? This PC. Now, program files, Adobe, Photoshop. Of course, it's I'm in the wrong spot. It's this, here it is. It's a 64-bit. So here it is. So that should work. And I think you're right. It will hopefully put it onto that list now for the next next step. So let's see what's happening here. Do I get it? Still starting up here. Now, so when you link files, when you place files in InDesign, InDesign will always by default just place a low resolution proxy or layout copy of the image, and remember where the file lives in your file system. And the advantage of that is, there's a lot of advantages to that actually, because the InDesign file doesn't grow too big, and if somebody edits the external file, you will get the updates, right? But these are JPEGs. You can't really edit a JPEG and keep it as a JPEG. So what I want to do here, well, what do you want to do with this image? What's wrong with it? Should we change something here, or is it perfect the way it is? It looks a little overcooked to me, but I can't fix that. Don't tell Tamsin. So anyway, I'm gonna close this thing. So, well, what is wrong with it? It's too dark, right? And you know where you want to go to? Shoot, it's really hanging here. It's like, there we go. Use adjustment layers. You know, that's what we do. We don't make permanent changes to the image anymore. So we take a look in the smartest thing is to take a look in the histogram, at the histogram. So we add levels. Something is always all these whenever you install this program, it's like it's so pop-ups everywhere where Adobe is promoting all the stuff. So you're familiar with a histogram? This little bar chart over here. It's trying to depict the whole available spectrum from light to dark, and the vertical lines are where are the pixels in this image relative to that whole spectrum. And we can see here what we can only say, yes, it's lacking in contrast and it's too dark. You can see that here because there's no pixels in the lighter area of the picture, right? So the cool thing is that I can drag over here and force the image to use all that, you know. And I can even change the midtones here or the darker tones here. And of course I can go in and add another adjustment layer here if I'm not happy with if it's like a color cast. I can go to the I can say it's a little bit too yellow, I want to reduce the yellow, you know, and go like this and add adjustment layers to my file here, you know. All right. Now, have you ever, well, let's do one more. So what I want to do is save this as a Photoshop file. If I do a file save now, it will say, do you want to save this as a Photoshop file? Which is true, because JPEGs do not support adjustment layers, so it has to, you know, pick a file format that can support adjustment layers, and only PSD files can do that. It's very important in this situation. Well, if you're going to edit each one manually, it doesn't really matter what you call it, but you have to remember to replace the JPEG with the PSD file, because that will not happen automatically. But, you know, in this case, I'm just going to leave it here for now, and I'm going to open up another one. And now let's see if I can do it now. Edit with, no, I didn't save it, because I'm building up to something different. Shoot, it's not here. What is Adobe doing? I don't know. Was there a checkbox there that I didn't see that I need to, you know, tell it to use it? Edit with, no, there isn't. I can't see anything here. Okay, but anyway, so that's the way I will have to do it. And I will have to go over here, edit all of these guys, and then I'm going to have to go over here and open up one in turn. And do I want to do that? Well, not really. I don't really want to do that. So first, I'm going to do a couple of things now, and I'm going to try to speed it up here a little bit. But please feel free to still, I mean, throw out comments and ask questions and stuff like that. You know, just keep going.
You're looking at viewing the actions?
This is Photoshop, and I'm doing Window Actions to open up the Actions panel. Because before I start doing, because I'm thinking I don't want to do this over and over again. I want to record what I'm doing, and then I can apply it to several pictures in one go. I will have to select some like average settings or something like that, something that I want to apply to all these pictures, and some of them be like perfect and some of them might need a little more work, but I don't want to do every one manually if I can avoid it. Now, if you've been using Photoshop for a while, you might be familiar with the image adjustments menu, which when I teach Photoshop, I tell people never to use this anymore, because that will make permanent changes to the pixels in the image, right? Whereas the adjustment layers will not. That will be non-destructive. So all these commands are destructive by default. And you have, a lot of them are the same, like hue, saturation, and even curves and levels and everything here. But if I select them here and I make change, I'll get a dialog box and I will have made permanent changes. But there are a couple of commands here that they are listed here now. It's called auto tone, auto contrast, and auto color. And there's even shortcuts to apply them. And I remember back in the days before adjustment layers, I usually went through all those three just to see, what do these automatic things do to my image? You know, I'm just undoing, I'm going here. Do I want to go here and try the auto contrast? That's actually doing good. And I can go like here and do auto color, and yeah, that's actually even better. You know, it's like asking Photoshop for advice. The problem is it's destructive, right? You can't, and you don't want to do that because you want to be able to make manual adjustments later. So where I'm going to move the properties panel over here where it belongs, like separate over here, so I can have the adjustments panel over here. Now, if you open up the levels panel, I'm going to show you where do you find those three settings: the auto tone, auto contrast, and auto color in here, and you can add them to an adjustment layer. It is this button, the little auto button here, and if you click it, you will get like one of them, and you don't even know which. But if you alt click, I'm going to undo that again. If you hold the alt key down and click there, you will actually get, and they're not using the same terms. So you have 4 options, and you can, it will give you a preview. So I can do you want to enhance monochromatic contrast? Do you want to enhance per channel contrast? Find dark and light colors? And so and so. You can go through them, you know. So I will say, I'm not sure. I'm just going to pick one, you know, and I will add this. And you'll see it would just end up as a normal adjustment layer called levels 1. And you can still, you know, you can still work on it if you want, you know, and make changes. But, you know, sometimes that automatic thing could be, you know, pretty cool.
What key did you hold down with auto?
Alt or Option on the Mac. That's a lot of places in InDesign and Photoshop. If you alt click, let me in the control panel in InDesign, you can alt click this little a lot of these little guys, and it'll bring up you know the panel or the dialog box, you know. So if I alt click the little text wrap symbol seal, it will open up the text wrap panel, and it's like everywhere. So just try alt clicking on everything and see what happens. Could be interesting. You can even, well, that's a digression, but if you, and I have seen people teach that you cannot change a polygon in InDesign after you created it. You know, like this. If I create a star, it's not true. You can select it, and you can alt click. Oh, I'm sorry, double click. There, you can double click it. I thought it was alt click, but you know, it's either one, either double click or alt click. I can add to it, and you can change the polygon after you create it. So, you know, don't believe what they tell you. All right, so I want to do this. I want to do a couple of other things. I want to convert the pixels to a smart object, so I protect those pixels. I want to add a sharpening to it, like this, sharpen, like smart sharpen. I'm just going to do like an average, like the default. It's a lot, 200% is a lot. I'm going to do 100% there. And just I want to do this, so I'm going to do all these kinds of things. It's all non-destructive. But then, like I said, I'm kind of lazy. I don't want to be doing this, you know, over and over and over. So what I should have done, I should have started recording now, but I'm gonna undo all of this. And there is a, you know, in Photoshop, when you undo, you will just switch with the Control Z or the Command Z. You'll just jump back and forth between the 2 last things you did. But you can use the history panel and just go back to the start, you know, like this. And then I'm going to go here and I'm going to record. I'm going to create a. I'm gonna do cool kids do cook default kind of thing. You know, I'm just gonna start it here and start recording. You know, and then I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna do an automatic. Here I'm gonna do the what I'm gonna do per channel contrast is pretty good. It will be different setting depending. It will analyze the image, right? So it will not yield the same numeric result for each image.
Where's the new action?
Yeah, it's a little new symbol at the bottom of the panel. Just click it and name it. And then I'm going to select the background layer. I'm just going to keep this very simple. And I'm recording this now. And you don't have to rush. It will not play back in the speed you're entering these commands. I'm just going to go here and convert the background to a smart object. I'm going to add the smart sharpen thing here. And I'm just going to use these values and click OK. And that's basically enough. And then I'm going to go back here and just stop my recording. And it's the simplest of little things. Actually, I usually also, yeah, here it is. It says, here's my procedure. And you might, some of you saw Kenneth do this last month. You know, his actions were like pages long, you know, very advanced. This is just all I did. You know, I made an adjustment layer. I did so and so, and I selected the background layer, and I converted a smart object, and I added sharpening to it, so it's non-destructive. You know, very, very simple. Simplest of procedures. And I named it after the book. Okay, so I don't really need to save these images now because they will be caught up by, I mean, they will be found, and I'm just going to close these guys now because this is, you know, you don't want to do it manually over and over again. But the next question will be, how do I know which images to use? How can I locate all my images and process them automatically? And one solution is, are you familiar with a package function? Because if you remember that every recipe has its own folder. You know, so every new recipe have picked those pictures from a different folder. And going and locating them and opening them and editing them, it will be easier to do it from inside InDesign, you know, to alt-click or alt-double-click to open them up. But I don't want to do that either. Now here comes Bridge in again. Bridge comes onto the stage again. Now, and if you do a package, what happens is it will collect all those files and put them in a single folder. So that would work, and you will have all those JPEGs in a folder, but you will still have to convert them and do all that thing and replace them in the layout, right? So what do I want to do? I want to go back to Bridge again. I'm going to go back to my file, see if I can find it. It's here. It should be this one. And in Bridge, InDesign, some InDesign files in Bridge will have that tiny little symbol up there. It's all, well, there's other. Do any of you have any other ideas how we can do it? Because you can actually go here to the links panel, right?
What kind of symbol is that?
Yeah, I'll get back to that. I'm just gonna say this because you might have other solutions to the problem. I can go here and select all the JPEGs, and I can go right-click and I say Edit With, and sometimes they will even list Photoshop there, so I can open them up with Photoshop, right? So I can open several, but I will do them individually. So there's a lot of solutions to that problem, and the packaging thing might actually work but you will get a new folder, you get a new InDesign file, it will be all like moved over to that thing.
That's good if you want to do that processing.
Yeah. But how do you find them? Because they're in, I have 60 recipes and the pictures are in 60 different folders.
Right.
Yeah. This is how you do it. And that's why you have to place them in the layout first, right? And you see that little chain, like two little rings or something? It means that this InDesign file has linked files. That's what it means. And if I right-click here, I can do this one, Show Linked Files. And it will actually pull out, no matter where these files come from. And it's like 60 different folders, but it shows me, it creates a virtual folder for me here. And you see, since this is actually, I started this demonstration using a finished, a completed files. I just deleted some. You see, most of these are PSD files, you know, already processed. But I only want the JPEGs that are not processed. Here comes the filtering. I see all the linked files in my InDesign. And I can filter here on file type, and I need to drag it up a little bit. So I'm saying here, show me just the JPEGs. Oh, that's not right. That's not right. Show missing files. What am I doing wrong? Is that the wrong file? I hope it's the right file. Oh, have I saved it? I haven't saved it. Save. I got a little nervous there at the moment. I think it will look pretty much different now. It's still saving, by the way. And there is if you're starting something, it's one of the things that's very difficult to see in action, the background task panel. because you never have time to open it up until that background task is completed, like now. But there is a panel that will show you, like, if there's a saving in progress, export to PDF in process, you know, stuff like that, that you don't really know how far it's come. Here it is. So I'm going to do show linked files, and with a little luck, I will get you. Here they are. All right. So you see, there were some JPEGs there already. Some of them don't really need a lot of editing, but all these unedited ones are here. Okay. So, and they are like from, I don't know, 60 different, well, in this case, like 3 or 4 different folders at least. I can select them. I can do select all, or I can actually remove these if I don't want to do this. These are stock photos that I bought, and I just placed them unedited because they're pretty well, you know, processed already. So I can look through this, and I don't want to do the spoon boy, and I want to, you know, I don't want to do these guys. I do want to do the rest. So I'm in Bridge, and why is Bridge called Bridge? Well, because it's a bridge between, in this case, InDesign and Photoshop. So I'm going to go over here and do Tools, Photoshop, Image Processor. Image Processor. Image Processor is a Photoshop command. You can find it on the File menu, but you can start it from Bridge and apply it on the selected files. That's how it all fits together, right? I don't have to go in an anonymous OS dialog box and find my files at this point, because I can simply go in here and start from Bridge. And it says here, process files from Bridge only. That's 30 files. So I'm just going to leave it at that. You have a lot of options here, but the most important thing is I want to convert these pictures to PSD format, right? And I want to decide where to put them. I want to put them not in the original folders, but I want to find my my folder here, and I think it should be here. I'm actually going to put them right here. It will create a subfolder called PSD for all my PSD files. So I'm just going to select here. So it should, on this level, it should be created a PSD folder for me. What am I doing? I'm doing the wrong thing here. I should click here. There, sorry. Sometimes I move a little bit too fast. Let me see here. User group here. Yeah, there we go. So I can actually convert these files to JPEG, PSD, and TIFF at the same time. It will create a JPEG folder, PSD folder, and TIFF folder if I want. I can even apply, I can resize them, like reduce the size of them. Many of these files are like super big, and I'm going to print them like this big. I don't want to bother with that because I could make like a compromise or something, but no, I want to retain the original pixels. And here's the deal. You can use the image processor in Photoshop just to convert the file format and change the size of an image. But the coolest thing is you have over here, you can run an action as well, right, in the process. And that's why I had to create that action before, and it's under default. It should be here. The Cool Kids Do Cook action. You can add copyright info if you want. It doesn't really make any difference at this point. So I'm pretty confident that this should do the trick. It will pull all those pictures out of my folder. I hope it doesn't take all evening. Should go much faster than this. Let's hope it does speed up eventually. But my goodness, I'm running out of RAM on this thing. It's 30 pictures. I was thinking to do the whole book, like 250 pictures, but I should probably have done even fewer. Let me leave this running because I want to show you something else, a situation where I had to use a similar function. I'm just going to let Photoshop work there in the background and show you this this book. Now, you know that little where is it? It was supposed to be printed in color. You know, when I did this the first time, I know that this is the third time around that I make this go. And the first time I created everything in color, and then they said, oh, no, the inside matter, we can't afford it. So they convert all the pictures to black and white. You know, if you do it manually, you'll get much better results than if you just let the print shop do it. And this year, I was disappointed when I saw it because the color was supposed to be dark. So all these were handed to the print shop in color, so that's why they are a little dark. I had converted them to black and white, it would be much higher contrast and much sharper images. And it wasn't, the print shop did a mistake, but the guys who ordered this, they saved so much money, so they're thinking next year they're going to do it all that. But at least I will know in advance. Now, the cool thing is that, so this is the print file. As you see, the cover is in color, but the rest is in black and white. Now, how did you do, you know, and that thing, the first time, I had like 1 week to go until this cruise started with all the artists. And then I had like all the images in color. And I really wanted the quality to be the best possible. So instead of, and they were all, the pictures were all in PSD format. So I just opened them up in InDesign, in Photoshop, and I added black and white layers. Now this is already in black and white. Let me do a color one, like this one that I took. So much fun taking pictures on that cruise because you can get so close to the stage, and you're allowed to, well, I'm allowed to go on the stage at this point, and as long as I don't kick somebody. So I just added some adjustment layers in here in order to add like a black and white adjustment layer on all the pictures, you know. So I didn't have to. One of these days, this preview will. There we go. So I just add. Usually 1 or 2 layers, the black and white layer, and adjustment layer, and then the increased contrast layer. So that's what I usually did. So because after I completed it and sent it off, I wanted to create the online version of it, right? So I'm not sure if any of you managed to pull out that interactive version, but it's I got it here on 2 of my devices. So I have the book here, you know, the form. You scan that little QR code, you can say. And it's interactive. You can click, you will have a table of contents inside of the cover. They didn't want to print for the inside of the cover. I can tap here and go to that page. I can double tap and increase it to 200%, and you can just do the normal thing here. And there's all kinds of things you can do to navigate the pages. And of course, all the pictures that are in color are available in color here. And all the URLs and links to their Facebook pages and stuff are, of course, interactive. So there you go. And it is over here. It's on the web, and you just click this little thing called Publish Online over there in InDesign, and it will create a web page for your publication. How is Photoshop doing? I think it's done.
Okay, Tom, it's almost done.
Yeah. Let me just, I can wrap it up right there. So, and it will be like a little punchline here, should be. You see it created a PSD subfolder. You see these pictures. They may not be perfect, but I think you can even from there see that they're much better. Yeah. Even with those little things. But now the deal is, how do I swap all my JPEGs for my PSD files? Okay. Any suggestions? I'm not sure if I could make that work, but that would be interesting if you could. Now, yeah, let me, this is the finished one. Here's the work file. Yes, of course. Yeah. Look here, I have all these, because these haven't changed, because I just created, I picked them and I converted them. Well, the magic of the links panel, and I had plans to tell you more about the magic of the links panel, but let me settle for this, and that will be a cool punchline. I can select anything now. I can select all the JPEGs over here if I want, for instance. Or I can even just do it here. I can select these guys, you know, because when you select an object in the layout, they get selected over here. And I can keep going, but you can only work with one, in this case, you can only work with one spread at the time. So let me do this and select a few more just to show you how it works. Now, I have lots of JPEGs selected. Now, you know the flyout menu on most panels in the Adobe world. That's where all the magic is, right? All the cool functions. I can relink to folder. I can, if I have the same file name but in a different folder, I could just swap to a different folder. And that I use that when I do the low-res pictures with the watermark on them. That I'm, you know, and then I have all the same identical file name but high resolution. You can just switch from the low-res folder to the high-res folder. But then the file names have to be identical. I can relink to folder, but in this case, I can relink to folder, and that's what I'm going to do. I can relink to file extension. Remember, all my new files have the same file names except it's .psd. But since they're in a different folder, I need to do this anyway. So I need to find my folder, locate my PSD folder, and I need to do here match. See here, I can match same file name, but with this, come on, PSD. Match same file name, but with this extension, okay?
I thought you were looking for the JPEG. Oh, you're selecting.
No, the JPEGs are selected here.
Okay.
And now it's working. It's replacing the JPEGs with the PSD files. And I'm not doing anything, I'm just watching it. And there you see, there you go. There they are. So let's make that the punchline. It's cool. We got it. Yeah. And you can still do the Alt double click to if you want to do additional edits to individual. You know. Oh, now I get the question again. Yes, please let me do Photoshop, please. All right. Thank you so much. This has been fun. Hope you got something out of it.